Speaking of the children. Speaking of the children and influences, outside influences, online influences. You know? Your kids, they could get mixed up with something like the Proud Boys. They hear that Uhuru song. I mean, that's a banger. They're going to be hooked in just through the music. They could be on message boards talking to ex-FBI agents and end up at Patriot Front. Or they could become Coomers, okay? They could be sucked into the wild world of VTubers. That's the thing. That's the thing that's going on right now as we speak. Very popular thing online, the VTuber. And there's been a lot of drama lately. Apparently, there's a lot of racism that goes on. People being called monkeys and stuff. Not fun stuff. Very evil, bad things. But while they're doing it, they're collecting dollary dues. Okay, they're collecting super chats. Apparently, more super chats than anyone else on the platform. Prof says, I've heard that being able to name 5 brands of cereal is anti-Semitic. Listen, all references available at louderwithcrowder.com. I mean, that's what they say. That's what they say. Who are we to disagree with the SPLC, okay? The Southern Poverty Law Center. Who are we to disagree with them? They're experts, okay? They went to college. They're lawyers. They know what they're talking about. They know how to identify these things. Okay, let's see what this guy's up to. So I don't have these lined up correctly. But we're going to check it out anyways. We're going to roll. We're going to go with the flow. So this is a guy, he goes by the handle Just Evanito. Nice. I like that. It's very snappy. And I guess he's going to talk about being black and a VTuber. The problem with black VTubers. And is he going to come out against black people being VTubers? What's he going to do? What's he going to talk about?
Okay. I didn't really think that I would be doing this again. But let's talk about this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to that segment where I talk about things that bother me in the VTubing community or just in streaming as a whole, but I usually talk about VTubers.
This is like a grown man. This is a grown man wearing a cat girl shirt. At least it's a cat girl. Could be trans. Talking about his qualms with the VTuber community. Hey, listen, it's a living.
Because that's what I do here. I am a VTuber guy. Anyway, my point is, ladies and gentlemen, today let's talk about.
First of all, I gotta say, if you're a VTuber and you're making videos not in your VTube situation, if you're a known quantity, totally breaks the illusion for me. Like, how am I supposed to get my nut? How am I supposed to get my nut knowing what you actually look like? Get in that waifu. Put that digital waifu face on. Let's do it, brother. Come on.
About a problem that I have in the VTuber community, which is the fact that I'm black. And you might think, wow, you're being racist towards yourself. But no, hear me out. Yesterday, I made a tweet in which I distinctly said, and this is going to probably surprise you the most.
This is going to blow your mind.
You know, bro, whose dick do I have to suck to get a black VTuber model made in this economy? Now, the reality of that tweet is the fact that
he's had to suffer through being a young Asian girl for the past like 3 years. And he's like, man, can I get something to maybe even just mocha? You know? Could be like Casca from Berserk. You know, those kinds of shades, you know? Burnt honey.
Really, it is genuinely difficult. While that tweet might have come out jokingly, it is genuinely difficult as a black individual to get artists in the VTuber community to draw black characters.
Racist.
A lot of artists are not willing, or I guess in better terms, they're more afraid to draw black characters. Sometimes they say they don't really understand how to pigment the skin. Some of them say that.
I mean, they could say that they could be like, hey man, like, who am I to do that? Like, I'm not black, and who am I to like make a facsimile, a representation of a black person? I could be run out of the community. Are there no black artists in the VTuber community that can make a black character? What's going on out there?
They're afraid to draw the hair, and you know what? That's understandable to a certain degree. But
it's understandable. He's saying it's understandable to be terrified to draw a black person because of black identifiers like hair, shade of skin, etc. That's understandable, of course, because if you were to get it wrong, well, they would eat you alive. You would be ostracized. Then what do you? Then how are you going to make money? You have to go back to working for your dad at the pharmaceutical company? I don't think so.
At the same time, it's hard enough trying to be a male VTuber in this space because a lot of people just don't draw or rig men. But not wanting to draw characters that have darker skin tones is also just a really huge issue. I've seen so many people, including a lot of my friends, who have commissioned art from Skebs or other websites and places, and they have dark skin like me, but the commissioner will purposely take that note and make their skin light. I've saw one friend, have their skin color completely, the opposite of what it actually is. One friend, the artist didn't want to go too dark, and so they lightened their skin by a bit, and it was quite noticeable, and they had to keep asking him, please darken it to this shade, and it took like 10 revisions before it actually...
Are you guys so fucking talentless that you can't figure out how to do this yourself? I don't go take a class. Go take a class. Stop hassling Chan, or whatever his name, maybe Chin.
He got to the actual shade because the artist just actively just refused. Again, this isn't really a problem with VTubers, but it's a problem within the space in general. I don't like it at all, and it really does piss me off. I really don't get why it is difficult to draw black people. It's something that just irritates me to the core. It's already bad enough, and again, I don't want to bring too much, real life issues and politics into this, but
it's like it's bad enough that George Floyd is dead. It's bad enough we can't get a VTuber representation of George Floyd. Saint George.
Like it's bad enough in real life that black people already really struggle. People of color in general just really struggle to get by, and I'm a very
this motherfucker is sitting here with a $6,000 computer, a fucking setup that costs a few $1,000s more, in a nice house, talking about it's hard for. It's like, what about you? He's like, well, you got to grind even more as a black VTuber. You got to grind even harder. Okay, it's not fair out there. Fucking A.
Successful black man, which is really, really rare, to be fair. And like in the VTubing space, I want you to go ahead and I want you to think about how many really successful black VTubers you know. Think about it for a second.
Could be that there's not a lot of black people that want to be VTubers. This is a possibility. Just throwing it out there. Or it could be proportionate. Maybe it's proportionate. I'm just throwing it out there.
There are a few. This is true. How many of them are using black models?
I mean, how many fucking VTubers are there in general?
If we were to use a Hollywood term, we'd say shots fired, shots fired.
Had to do it, buddy.
Wow. Suddenly you really can't think of too many, can you? If even one. Now, think of corporate VTubing. I want you to go ahead and think of how many black or, dark-skinned corporate VTubers there are. Can you think of any?
Yeah, there is. It's crazy. I learned a little bit about this earlier. There is like a whole corporate structure. They're all part of like media groups and stuff that kind of like own their characters and control their kind of public life. Like they get to decide. It's like having an agent, but they have the final say because they kind of own the IP. They own the character, so they're able to. They decide rather like who they can and cannot talk to publicly in character. It's very weird. It's a weird rabbit hole to go down, the VTuber thing. It's very disturbing. I find it very off-putting. Trelming says Count Chocula is a heeb. Listen, the truth is out there.
Maybe there's like one or two, but there's not that many, is there? How many people of color are in corporate companies?
Oh my God. You proud warrior out here fighting the good fight. God bless you, brother.
Yeah. So I'm going to rest my case right there and then just say there's a problem I think in the VTuber space, I would like to see more representation because at the end of the day, right? What drives and motivates people to want to be a part of something is when they see people like them succeed in that space. And as a successful black man, I'm trying to succeed in the VTuber space to try to make other people like me, know that they have a chance.
This is like a weird form of like personality prostitution. Because it's not like just like being a VTuber. It's like doing a character and trying to get like bring people into the fold. Like this is kind of more of a real thing because that's where the money is. You want to develop a parasocial relationship with your audience. So authenticity is key. And if you got to go out there and be a liar, this guy, he's a 14-year-old. Well, a 14-year-old looking but 2,000-year-old vampire chick. Not very authentic, my friend. Traveling says it's like when feminists whine that there aren't a lot of women in the hard sciences, like it's something you get drafted to instead of choose to pursue. Yeah. Yes. I don't know. I just have a strange feeling not a lot of black dudes are going to want to be VTubers. Call me old-fashioned. It would be kind of surprise me.
But it's really, really difficult when a lot of artists aren't even willing to give it a shot just because of the color of my skin. And it
also, I'd like to know the veracity of these claims. Like, how many artists did you ask? He gave the kind of the rationale before of why they would say no because they don't want to get in trouble because they did it the wrong way. But how many people did he actually ask? How many people has he actually talked to? Like 2, 3? And is that representative of anything? I mean, you're describing people that won't do it out of fear of digital lynching. So, I guess you can't blame him, dude. This is what you got to do. You got to go take some drawing classes, some multimedia classes, and do it yourself.
Really, really does suck, right? Like it genuinely does suck. There was an artist on Twitter who ended up following me because he himself, or they said on their tweet that they've worked with a lot of Japanese companies and they like drawing VTuber models, but they want to now work with EN companies to specifically hopefully get to draw more VTuber characters of color, because there aren't that many. I really cannot think of any huge VTuber who has skin like mine. And I'm sure that you're going to probably comment one person, maybe 2 down below. But think about it. On a corporate level, there's like hundreds upon hundreds of VTubers that are very successful. And if you could only think of 1 or 2 of color, I really think that needs to be addressed. And that's honestly my thoughts on this. I really don't know too much of what else I can say. It just bothered me a lot. I made a tweet, and I would hope that someday in the future this gets addressed. And it's not saying
a tweet. It sounded like an invitation. It's like, no, seriously, I will suck your dick if you draw me this.
That all artists are like this. Obviously, they are not. There are artists out there who are definitely willing to draw.
Then what's the fucking problem, fella? Find those artists.
VTubers of color and people who have my skin tone. But the sad reality is, when I made that tweet on Twitter, the fact that people could only link me to 2 artists. Most of the people who commented, artists who are willing to draw, people of color, most of them referred me to 2 separate artists.
Maybe it's the specialty they have. Like, again, I know that VTubers are popular to watch, but how many VTubers are there actually? Like, how big is this community? Like a few thousand people maybe that are actually actively doing this stuff? Maybe I'm wrong. I could be totally naive. It's like, dude, no, there's millions. There's millions of these fucking people, and they're all nasty.
Nasty bastard. As soon as I pee on him, he comes.
Trembling says, "What a pressing issue that we must solve immediately." Listen, that's just the way it goes, pal.
One more time. Nickel dicks on the internet who give me shit about whatever. Fuck you.
Or the hundreds, thousands, maybe millions of artists in the space. But you can only think of 2 that are willing to draw people of color. That's an issue. It's a huge issue that needs to be addressed. And you know
how this guy feels? You know how he feels inside? Imagine that. Imagine feeling that kind of pain. Okay, that kind of intensity.
I know that there are a lot more people out there that are willing to draw people.
See, there's some comments on the side here. Toxic Boss says, "We need an American VTuber company to rise up and fix this." He also says, "I only knew like 3 artists." True. Barrowcat says, "I'm as white as you can get, and I totally agree with what you were saying." We got an ally, everybody. We got an ally. Oh my god.
Of color. Maybe they just have never had the chance or the opportunity. But I encourage artists and everyone everywhere to maybe just try. I promise you it would make a lot more people happy, because it sucks when I see people like me struggling to find people who are just willing to give us a chance so we can have our dreams come true. And this isn't a personal thing for me. Again,
this is like Jim Crow South. It's like they're in the Jim Crow South, man. What's going on over there in the VTuber community? I thought these problems wouldn't have mattered. You could be whoever you want. Maybe that's the truth. Maybe you should just embrace the fact that you can be a 14-year-old looking 2,000-year-old, fairy-like vampire chick. Just embrace that. Get into it, man.
I'm already successful being a face cam streamer. But the fact that I think that, I look and I see other people like me not get that chance because they want to do VTubing and there's not many people willing to work with them. That does suck. Anyway,
it's sad.
Again, didn't want to waste too much of you guys' time. Thank you for even listening to my thoughts on this. I really didn't want to make this video, but
it's like I didn't want to have to call everybody out. I didn't want to have to do it. Traveling says, "Maybe you suck and no one wants to draw you because you'll make a big stink if it's not exactly how you pictured it in your head," which it seems like that's the fear. The people he talked to, they have, and he acknowledged that was a legitimate fear, as if that would be normal to be like, "Yeah, man, you might get fucked up if you don't got my dreads right." Egbert says this guy is basically a digital Emmett Till. No lives detected. All references available at louderwithcrowder.com. All right, let's see. Before we move on, let's see what this guy does. Does he just cover VTuber stuff, or is he a VTuber? They called her VTuber Reaction. He thinks Luigi is something. This is a grown-ass man. Listen, okay? I've said it many times before. Listen, I like some anime occasionally. I watch anime. In fact, me and Big Paul tomorrow night going to be recording our Berserk appreciation episode of Zoobox Goes to the Movies. I've been steeped in anime bullshit since like May. Catching up on Attack on Titan, watching tons of Berserk, reading about Berserk, watching YouTube videos about Berserk. I'm all in on the anime right now, okay? And even I think this is fucking weird. Even just to be a viewer of it and then make content surrounding, like, talking about the internal drama. Jesus Christ. Trelving says, black nerds are always the worst nerds. Big Paul says, hell yeah, we are. Oh yeah, buddy. I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I'm going to do get some notes together tomorrow. It's going to be a good time. All right. I don't know what to even click on. I'm so confused. I guess we'll click on one of his commentary videos.
What is up?
Oh my goodness gracious. Very loud, sir. Trump says, I need to read Berserk. I have all of it up to date. Dude, Berserk is one of my favorite just pieces of media in general. I love Berserk. I love the first arc is my favorite arc, but overall it's really good. And it's a shame that the guy died before he got to finish his work, because that's one of the cool things about Berserk. While he does wear his influences on his sleeve, he did everything. He wrote everything. He drew everything. It's a complete singular like piece of art experience, and it's really cool. It's really cool. I would definitely recommend it. And if you've never seen it, a good place to start is just go watch the 1997 anime. You can read it on or you can watch it rather. It's on YouTube, because it's not available anywhere in the United States for sale legally, unless you want to go find like old DVDs on eBay, I think. Or a bootleg. You can get bootlegs of it too, because they released it in Europe in HD, but they've never released it over here. It's not on any streaming services. But the 97 anime, go watch it on YouTube. It's a great place to start. It's awesome. It's fucking awesome.
Up, lovely people in there. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are reacting to even more VTuber clips that you guys sent me. And today we have a lot.
Look at this fake ass personality. This is a personality that is meant to appeal to 10-year-olds. All of these content creators that do this kind of shit or play like meme video games like Choo Choo Charles or Poppy's Playhouse or whatever, they all have a similar kind of rhythm and cadence to their speaking. And this guy, he does it too. Inauthentic.
A lot of fun things that I also want to tell you. First of all, I moved. Secondly, how do you like the new place? Third, I love you. Actually, that might be a little bit parasocial. I'm so sorry.
So Chuny, hey!
What's your Chuny name?
Demon God King Regis Altair.
What's your lore? What's your Chuny lore?
There was a demon king in a castle. There was a nearby village that kept on asking people to eliminate him, but everybody
Wait, that's
failed
just
and
Vox
died.
Akuma's lore. Are you trying to...
Dude, like, I know some of this is, Japanese terms, but I was going to say, it's like listening to people speak in a different language. I feel so lost.
Giant blue lights and a hero emerge.
Wait, you killed Vox Akuma's demon? What?
For the crossover lore!
He literally imploded.
Go on.
And then he took the reward
Hundreds of thousands of dollars in super chats. This is the group of people that makes the most money on YouTube via super chats.
for eliminating the demon god king, and then he left and created a guild.
Wait,
with
so
that
you did
money.
kill Vox Akuma's demon form?
Who knows if I am the demon?
You're Vox Akuma.
If you see him, his face cam up here in the corner, he is loving this stuff, dude. This guy's he's probably hard. He's probably hard as a rock.
And this is where the whole thing goes topsy-turvy.
I don't know who that is. He's not from Elysium, is he?
Oh my god, it's Blue Vox.
I mean, it's not a horrible thing.
Dude, this is like when Marvel and
Yeah, can you explain this to me? The black nerd? I know that's not your handle. I know there is a black nerd out there. I think he calls himself the black nerd, but can you explain this to me? Can you explain to me what the fuck is going on here?
DC crossed over that one time, right? Like
Right.
Hololive and Nijisanji are crossing over, and now we have more insights to the actual lore of these characters, right? I would like to believe that in the canon lore of these characters, Altair actually did kill Vox. Just saying.
Oh,
Are they talking about like an anime? Or are they talking about the VTuber characters? I have no idea. I'm completely lost. Trolling says this black guy is into feet and lolicon. I guarantee. Oh, dude, this is the kind of guy that would have been on a debating being pro lolicon and explaining, well, dude, it's a victimless crime. Yeah, she looks like she's 8, but she's a 6,000-year-old vampire. I've literally seen that shit. Big Paul says he's called Black Conservative Perspective, Vox Machina. It was an Amazon series. I've never watched that show. But is that a character on there?
Hold. What?
I'm holding.
Hold
I'm
why?
holding.
Oh, they're gonna
whoa,
kiss?
Oh.
Whoa!
Ew! Kissy time! Keep holding!
Do
I know
have
you
to?
tried! I know you tried to release! I know you did! Keep holding the wire!
Okay, fine. Ah!
Oh, Big Paul says that's who they're talking about. Oh my God. Mask off, weeb. Paul's just exposed himself.
Oh God, dude, this is like the equivalent of like trying to kiss your sister.
Okay!
Cringing. Okay, that is
Of course
too
he would
intimate.
cringe.
Oh, ew! Ew! Kissing! Ooh! Wanna feel
Ugh.
Pop couples!
You're literally
Yeah.
married. I don't care that something good happened to you. It should have been me.
What? Can't agree with her.
Okay, well, that's enough of that. I'm like so lost. I don't even know what the fuck is going on. Trembling says post 90s anime all looks like shit. I love me some 80s, 90s anime though. So do I. That's my favorite era, even for just like content wise, like even just the types of stories, because it's all like cyberpunk and science fiction based and blah blah blah. There's a few newer ones that there are some exceptions though. There are some exceptions. Unfortunately, one of them is not Berserk 2016. That is not an exception. That's actually infamously terrible looking. It's because they started doing this thing where they were blending like CGI with animation. It doesn't usually work very well. You know what's an exception actually would be the rebuild of the Evangelion series. Those movies, they're all on Amazon Prime. I think Amazon bought them. But those look very nice, very slick. You can tell that they put their money into it. So here's another one of so this was returning back to the colorism debate. This is from a year ago though, so this is not even a new one. This has been something that has been haunting this community for a very long time. Big Paul says, "You see some Baki bra? Huh? No, you shut your mouth. Muscle bods for days." All references available at ladderwithcrowder.com. All right. So yeah, so let's check this one out. Some more commentary about being a VTuber of color. Recently, I went black. Big Paul says Demon Slayer is rad aesthetically, but the story is trash. Yeah, it does look cool. Like I've seen, that was what kind of drew me to it. I almost thought about watching the movie, even though I have no idea what the fuck is going on. I'd have no context for anything, but I thought about it. And I think Attack on Titan, it's like maybe a little too slick. It's like shiny. It's got some weird filter on it. Which is a stylistic choice, but like there's some nice stuff in there too. And out of all the shows that blend CGI with like traditional animation, I think that one probably does it the best.
Recently, I had my VTuber model updated from this to this, and of course, with such.
This does not sound like a black movie. So was this one of those social experiments? Is that what he was doing? Is he doing a social experiment? Let's see how many people turn on me.
A drastic change. I have had so many people asking me why I made this change in the first place. Blackface.
Somebody said, when did you get a tan? Is that what it said? Wait, when you turned black. May I kindly ask why you suddenly received melanin? So these look like other black people. So they're just calling this person out. They're saying, yeah, because they're going to, digital blackface. What's with the model change? What happened? Why are you a different shade now? My God, they're really just out there. These must be like young people. Must be like teenagers who don't have the self-awareness to be like, well, I know you think you're anonymous. Big Paul says, Attack on Titan would be my Berserk if Berserk didn't exist.
Blackface and racial issues being such a huge topic, and paired with it being Black History Month, I was forced to give a solid answer. No.
Oh, he is. Okay, well, if the proof is in the hands, the proof is in the paws, we'll say. Okay, so he's a black guy.
Answer.
So he's been doing whiteface this whole time?
No one wants to be mistaken for a racist, or to have to feel like they can't be themselves online. And in my case, I was always feeling like the latter. There was nothing more that I wanted than to be able to fully be myself without having to worry about ridicule. Of course, this begs the question, why didn't you just have your model black in the first place? To which I have a very, very dumb story to tell you.
Oh
I
my
was
God.
never really supposed
I'm ready for it.
to be a VTuber in the first place.
Yeah, this is just everybody falls in. People just fall into these kinds of things. It's like, wow, what a wacky situation I've gotten myself into.
I started streaming in August of 2019 as a very regular streamer. I was a dude who liked anime and playing video games. Nothing really special to begin with. Now, in 2020, with the downfall of the entire world and everyone being trapped at home and online, I started to make a lot more friends online and to stream much more often. I had pretty much dropped out of school at the time and I wasn't working all too much, so I had loads of free time. Of course, this didn't mean that my stream was going anywhere, despite how much I had been streaming. Many people know 2020 was the boom of VTubers. VTubing was getting tons and tons.
So I guess this is when the VTubing rose to prominence. I mean, it's been around for a while, but you know, with everybody trapped at home, kids not in school, you know, anime being the sick, disgusting gateway that it is. Yeah, probably 12-year-olds watching this shit, getting their parents' credit card. They're like, oh, well, I'm on my dad's Google account. Everything's saved. $5, $5. Give me those diamonds. Give me that love.
Tons of Western attention, and it was starting to become much more mainstream. More VTubers started popping up, more groups started forming, and more drama unfolded in the community. I personally had a distaste for VTubers at the time, but honestly, it quickly changed when I found out that there were some people who I thought were absolutely
He's like, and then I kind of gaslit myself and just watched tons of content until I thought it was cool.
hilarious. Now, even in late 2020, I was still streaming as a regular.
That is one thing you have to watch out for like real anime nerds that are into just like anything anime, is that their taste in comedy. Their taste in comedy, because a lot of anime is kind of pervy. Even the stuff that's like more like kid friendly, it's a little different these days, like newer shows, because it's more geared towards a Western audience. But if you watch like Sailor Moon or these other shows from like the 90s, early 2000s that were definitely geared towards like teenagers, even Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z had a lot of pervy stuff in it. If you watch the Japanese versions, they often have like very weird senses of humor, kind of like when we were watching like the Black conservative representative of the nerds, the Black conservative perspective, just moments ago. Like it's like they're talking a different language. They're talking about, you know, they're talking about things that none of us understand, and they're probably making references to all sorts of weird pervy jokes. I'm just gonna assume that. Hagrid says, "All right, boys, 4:30 is gonna be here real quick. Have a good night." Hey, Hagrid, have a great night, buddy. I'll talk to you later, man.
Regular streamer, but it was December 5th when I first bought FaceRig. One of my friends had joined a Discord call as a banana, which I honestly thought was pretty cool at the time. And I thought it would be funny if I also streamed as something other than myself. So I did my first ever stream as a VTuber using some generic model in the software. And from there, I never used my webcam again. A few days later, I stumbled
In fact, he must have scrubbed the internet of his face, because now he blurs out his own face because he's a pro. He's not like the Black conservative perspective guy. He's a pro. Like he wants the full illusion, full immersion from his audience, you know?
across this website called
I am
I saw
Yukumi.
here that you could buy live 2D models for use in FaceRig, and I got to browsing since I wanted to be able to use something that had somewhat of a unique flair to it. And that is when this had caught my eye. The artist said the model had no decided gender, and on top of that, it fit with the color scheme.
No decided gender. Anime is poison. I take it all back. Don't ever watch anime again.
That I had already been using in a lot of my overlays. It was perfect. Well, with the exception that it looked nothing like me, of course. There was also the fact that the model was able to be purchased by anyone, which I knew could lead to some confusion in the near future, which it eventually did, and I knew that being able to change some aspects of the model would have been a good—
You got called out as a normie. You didn't have a commissioned VTuber presence. That's low tier. That's low tier.
The idea to do,
This is
but I
cute.
did not have the knowledge to do so, nor did I want to really break anything with the model, since I just bought it. From there, I just started using the model, streaming with it, and I began to have some of the best performing streams and videos in my entire career. So naturally, I kept using it.
Yeah, so naturally you got addicted to it. It's that audience capture that like they've given you permission. They want you to do this. They love you. They love you, Yukumi.
I made more and more YouTube videos, far more than I'd ever done before. And I started to make TikToks as well, which blew up, and I just kept streaming and growing, not really addressing the hidden truth behind it all, because simply it just didn't matter. At the beginning of this past month, however, Bug, a good friend of mine and someone who's been on the channel before, who is also experienced in making models and doing some live 2D rigging, showed me exactly how to change the textures on my model to match a skin tone much closer to mine. And from there, I made said changes. I'm glad that I was able to change them.
So you could just do this. Why you gotta talk to this other guy. He could be representing himself accurately by tomorrow.
Model into something that I'm much more comfortable with, since now the opportunity for much more content has become available. Cooking streams, PO box openings, really anything that involves me showing my hands, arms, maybe even my legs are all now possible to do. And I'm really glad. This also bridges
Yeah, because like it would have completely broken the illusion and he would have lost everything.
the gap for a new model that's on its way, but you didn't hear that from me. And that, my friends, is why I
This sounds like MGTOW guys talking about like ordering sex dolls. It's like the same kind of conversation.
turned black, or rather went back to being black. I'm glad that I'm able to be more of myself online and to be much more open and transparent about things. And I hope some of you stick around to see what's to come. Anyway, thank you for watching and listening.
Anyways, moshi moshi. That's what I say. So this next video actually caused some controversies from about 8 months ago. And it talks about the parasocial nature of VTubers and their audience. Why parasocialism is worse for VTubers. I'm curious. This seems like...